Welcome to the Deep Dive. It seems like a lot of you out there are, well, maybe a little fed up, right? Maybe thinking about shaking things up, exploring some alternative ways of living. And I gotta say, it's not hard to see why.
It's true. Between the cost of living, healthcare worries, and just a general sense of unease, it's no wonder people are looking for a plan B.
Exactly. And that's what got us so intrigued by 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗄𝗟 and his Revenue Like Clockwork newsletter.
Oh, yeah. He's got some really thought-provoking stuff in there.
We did a deep dive into his analysis, and it's really eye-opening, especially this idea of creating a location-independent life. It kind of ties in perfectly with what we've been talking about, this whole expat life portfolio concept.
One thing that really stood out to me is that Minos doesn't just focus on escaping America's problems, which can be tempting, right?
Sometimes it feels like that's the easiest solution.
But he actually digs deeper. He goes into the root causes driving what he calls this American exodus, and then uses those insights to build a framework for a more fulfilling life. And it's not about location per se, it's about mindset.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's break this down. Where does he even begin?
Well, he starts with a statistic that's pretty mind-blowing. 8.7 million Americans living abroad as expats.
Wow, 8.7 million. Is that a lot? Help me put that in perspective.
It's more people than those living with food allergies in the U.S.
Really? Okay, that is a lot of people. And it's not just like retirees on a permanent vacation, right?
No, not at all. It's a super diverse group, families, professionals, people from all walks of life, basically, all searching for something more.
Fascinating. So what's the common thread? What's driving all these people to pack up and leave?
Well, Minos highlights this idea of testing a plan B. Many of them didn't necessarily burn all their bridges. They dipped their toes in, maybe with the shorter stay, or exploring a specific opportunity abroad. Kind of a try before you buy approach to life.
I like that. It makes the whole thing seem less intimidating, like you don't have to make a drastic life-altering decision right away.
Yeah, exactly. And he found that those who did it successfully, who made this plan B work for them, they often built skills and experiences that were marketable internationally before they even moved.
So they weren't running away from problems so much as setting themselves up for a global life.
Yeah, they were being strategic, proactive, which I think is really key. But look, Munoz doesn't sugarcoat things either. He dives into the very real challenges that are pushing people to seek this plan B in the first place.
Right, those push factors.
Yeah.
It's not always sunshine and roses.
Exactly. He talks about the cost of living, which just seems to keep going up, making it tough to maintain, just a basic, comfortable lifestyle.
Yeah, that resonates with a lot of people. It feels like you're constantly running just to stay in place.
And then there's the housing crisis, right? Homeownership feels like a distant dream for so many people.
Yeah, the American dream feels increasingly out of reach for a lot of folks.
And of course, there's the elephant in the room, healthcare costs. It's a constant source of anxiety for so many.
Absolutely. And Munoz doesn't shy away from the societal concerns either, right? Rising crime rates, political polarization, a general feeling of unease. It's a lot to grapple with.
It is. But he doesn't dwell on these issues. He kind of reframes them, sees them as a catalyst for change, the push that forces you to reevaluate your priorities, maybe consider some alternatives you wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
So turning that feeling of being stuck into a springboard for action, I like that. It's empowering.
Exactly. It's not about ignoring the problems, but about using them as fuel to create something better. And that's where those pull factors come in, the positive things that attract people to a location-independent life. It's not just about running away from something. It's about being pulled towards something more fulfilling.
Okay, now I'm really curious to hear more about those pull factors. What is it that's drawing people towards this new way of life?
I find interesting, it's how Munoz approaches this whole thing. He doesn't just jump into solutions. It's more about a mindset shift, moving away from escaping problems and towards like a lifestyle design approach.
Okay, that's an important distinction, right? It's not just running away from something. It's more like running towards something you actually want.
Exactly. And that's where this idea of the expat life portfolio comes into play. It's not a quick fix. It's about strategically creating a life that gives you freedom, flexibility, and financial security all rolled into one.
So it's less about geography and more about building a foundation that lets you live, wherever you want on your own terms.
You got it. Imagine it like a regular investment portfolio, but instead of stocks and bonds, you've got income streams, skills, experiences, all those things that actually support your ideal lifestyle.
Okay, that's an interesting analogy. So it's not just about earning more money. It's about building a more diverse, resilient portfolio for your life.
Yeah, exactly. And, Munoz ties this into the whole remote work trend, the whole rise of the digital nomad. He makes this point that while remote work offers flexibility, you're still kind of vulnerable if your income is tied to just one employer or even one market.
So even if you're working remotely from, like, a beach in Bali, you're still at the mercy of things outside your control.
Exactly. That's why he's so big on diversifying your income streams. Think about it. Someone's working remotely for a company in, say, San Francisco, but they're living in Portugal. It seems location independent, right? But what if that company downsizes? Or the whole tech industry takes a hit?
Yeah, their whole livelihood's at stake, even if they're living in paradise. It's still tied to a single point of failure.
Precisely. And that's where the expat life portfolio comes in. It's all about those multiple income streams, diversifying your skills, creating a safety net. You can weather those economic storms a lot better that way.
This is starting to make a lot of sense. So it's not just finding a remote job and calling it a day. It's more about building a robust income structure that really supports your lifestyle, whatever that may be.
Exactly. And Munoz actually offers some concrete strategies for building this expat life portfolio. He talks about exploring digital nomad visas.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about those. A lot of countries are offering them now, right?
They are. And it's a great first step because it gives you a legal way to live and work remotely in another country, often with tax benefits too. So it takes this kind of abstract concept and grounds it in reality.
That's super helpful. It makes it seem a lot less intimidating.
And he also talks about research, but not in the way you might think. He's not talking about getting lost in online forums or trying to recreate your American life abroad.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a trap, trying to plan every little detail before you even make a move.
It's like analysis paralysis, right?
Yeah.
He encourages approaching research from the perspective of the country you're interested in. What are their customs? What are the economic opportunities? What's the cost of living really like? You got to immerse yourself in that to find a place that truly fits.
It's about embracing the differences, not trying to erase them.
Exactly. And here's a really important point. He makes one of the biggest mistakes expats make is buying property right away. He says rent first, explore different areas, really get a feel for the culture before you make that kind of commitment.
That makes a lot of sense. You don't want to rush into something that big.
No, you don't. It's like picture yourself experiencing different climates, cultures, neighborhoods. It's a discovery process. It reminds me of another really important part of this whole expat life portfolio idea.
Tell me more.
It's about understanding your impact on the community and the economy of the place you choose. It's not just about finding somewhere cheap to live. It's about being a responsible, contributing member of your new home.
So mindful integration, not just extraction.
Exactly. He uses this really powerful example, the gentrification of some neighborhoods in Mexico City. How an influx of expats, while it can bring economic benefits, can also displace residents and change the whole character of a place.
That's a sobering thought. It's a good reminder that our choices have ripple effects.
They do. And it leads to this really fascinating point that Munoz makes. He believes that true location independence comes from having your income flow from outside your current location.
Wait, I'm not sure I follow. Can you explain that a little more?
Sure. Even remote workers who live abroad, they can still be vulnerable if their income is totally dependent on one market or one employer.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. It's about having a truly diversified income stream, one that's not tied to any one place.
Exactly. He uses this great analogy. Imagine someone working for a company in, say, Boulder or Miami, but they're living in Mexico. They might feel location independent, but if the economy in those U.S. cities tanks, they're in trouble.
It's like building a house on sand. It looks stable for a while, but
it's not. So Munoz's solution is to build your income on a more solid foundation, one that's diversified across multiple markets and clients. And that global approach, it goes beyond just who your clients are, too.
You mean it's not just about having multiple clients, but about having the right clients?
Yes. He talks about assessing the risk profile of each client. Some are more stable, some are more volatile. You need to understand that to build a truly resilient portfolio.
So it's not just multiple income streams, it's the right mix of income streams so you can weather any storm.
Exactly. Munoz really lays out a thoughtful framework for achieving location independence.
I have to say, this has been eye-opening. It's more than just find a remote job, live wherever you want. It's a whole different way of thinking.
And you know what's really great? He doesn't leave you hanging with all these concepts. He actually offers a very specific resource to help you put all this into action.
What is it?
He has a 5-day challenge specifically designed to walk you through the process of building your own expat life portfolio. Step by step, actionable strategies, the whole 9 yards.
So it's about taking these big ideas and turning them into concrete steps.
Absolutely. It's all about getting you over that hump, those first hurdles, and actually making it happen.
From what you're saying, this challenge isn't about giving you one prepackaged solution. It's more about guiding you to figure out what your own unique expat life portfolio might look like.
You're exactly right. It's about finding what fits you. Because the traditional path, let's face it, it just doesn't work for everyone.
Especially with all those push factors we talk about, making it harder and harder to just get by. This idea of building a life that's geographically and financially diverse, it's almost like a breath of fresh air.
It is. And remember, like Munoz says, you don't have to wait until retirement to start building this kind of freedom. You can start right now, no matter what your situation is.
It's really about taking control, right? Designing a life that reflects you. I'm sensing a theme here.
You're right. It's about empowerment. That's what makes Munoz's work so powerful. It's not just about escaping problems. It's about taking charge, creating a life that truly resonates with you.
Are you ready for some proactive reinvention? Hello, this is Art Munoz, and if you're ready to break free from the corporate grind, I've got something special and free for you that will help you reinvent yourself. It's my International Freelancers 5-Day Challenge. In just 5 days, you'll learn how to stand out as an expert, attract high-paying clients, avoid costly mistakes, and build a location-independent future of financial freedom. Stop wasting time on random advice. Take control of your future and start living on your terms. Visit snapinplacemarketing.com/challenge and register for my challenge. It won't cost you a penny, but could transform your life.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, and it's clear that Munoz's approach is well thought out. He's not just offering platitudes. He's giving you a framework, concrete steps to actually make this happen.
And it all starts with that first step. It really is. It can feel overwhelming at first, all these big ideas. Like, okay, this sounds amazing, but where do I even start?
Right, exactly. I can see how someone could get stuck there. So from what you're saying, it's not about giving you one right answer, one prepackaged solution. It's more like helping you figure out what your own unique expat life portfolio could look like.
Yeah, exactly. It's personalized. It's all about you. Because the traditional path, let's be honest, it doesn't work for everyone.
Especially not with all those push factors we were talking about, making it harder and harder just to stay afloat. This whole idea of a life that's geographically and financially diverse, it feels, I don't know, kind of liberating.
It is. And like Munoz always says, you don't have to wait for retirement to start building this kind of freedom. You can start right now, today, no matter where you're at.
So for anyone listening who's feeling that pull, who's thinking maybe there's something more out there, what would you say is the biggest takeaway from all of this?
I think it's this. The power to create a more fulfilling life, it's in your hands. It's not about winning the lottery or waiting for the perfect moment. It's about making a decision, taking ownership, developing a strategic mindset, and starting to build the life you actually want.
I love that. It's inspiring and it's actionable. And if anyone's ready to take that next step, if they're feeling that spark, we definitely recommend checking out Art Munoz's 5-Day Challenge. It's a fantastic way to get started, to turn those dreams of a location-independent life into, well, a reality.
It really is. Taking that first step can be the hardest, but it's also the most rewarding.
So true. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the expat life portfolio. We hope you found it insightful and, well, maybe even a little life-changing.
The world is full of possibilities. Don't be afraid to explore them.
That's a great way to put it. Until next time, keep diving deep, keep questioning, and keep creating the life of your dreams.